So you think Soldier 76 has replaced McCree, do you? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Stylosa and this is Unit Lost. And let's talk about this because I'm seeing a lot of this going on the internet and people are like, well, McCree's pretty much useless now. It's all about Soldier 76. He's in every single game, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm going to explain why that's the case, but I'm also going to just straight away say at the start of this video, McCree has not been replaced by Soldier. In fact, Soldier now does the job that he was intended to do. Now, to understand all of this, we must go back in time. We must go back to McCree from a couple of months ago. So, in fact, I'm going to merge this all together. So, McCree has had a lot of different changes. There was a point where McCree did a lot of damage at range. That meant he was way more effective than Soldier. He was just flat out better than Soldier at Soldier's range, and that was basically it. McCree was then stupidly powerful at killing tanks or any target with a massive health pool. So that would be anybody with, like, I don't know, Lucio's sound barrier on them, but just, you know, maybe somebody with an Ana boost that I don't think... No, actually, Ana wasn't in the game at that point, so that doesn't apply. But with this was with Fan the Hammer, because it did a load of damage. Like, Fan the Hammer would just burn the tanks down. So you had McCree that occupied Soldier's role, and then suddenly occupied Reaper's role, and this was all in one character. It was like McCree, Soldier, Reaper. It was just like a nightmarish, hellish character. Now, McCree, I think, is actually one of the most balanced characters in the game, very much like Reaper is. Reaper, I don't think, has had any changes since the game has gone live. Like, Reaper is Reaper, and that's Reaper. Well, McCree has had a lot of changes, but now he's in a really great place. McCree is the guy you go to right now for... He's very good in duel situations. It makes sense. He's the gunslinger, right? Close range duel, he's got the flashbang. This means he can win pretty much every single close range duel. There is not really a duel that he will lose, right? Unless he has a Roadhog in his face, unless a Diva's in his face, right? But that's not what McCree's designed to do. He's designed to shut down Tracer, to shut down Genji, to kill anybody who's out of position or happens to get close to him. That's what McCree's about. But McCree requires a very high skill to use properly because it's all about that hit scan accuracy, and it's all about, you can't spray like you can with Soldier because Soldier's a little bit more forgiving, whereas McCree is a lot of damage. You land the headshot, you get the kill. We've all been there, right? We've landed a flashbang on a Tracer and then lined the headshot up and killed her, and it's sweet when you do it, but for every time you do it, there's a load of times where you flashbang her and she runs away and it's like, oh god, maybe I could have killed her but I didn't, and oh, I've not done my job, sort of thing. That's what McCree's designed to do. McCree's in a great position, and I don't think we're going to really see any sort of changes hitting McCree anytime soon. He's not the ultimate tank killer. He can still pump out damage into literally any target when it's at medium range. Like, that's what McCree can do. He can just hammer you short, like close to medium range. If he's hitting you, he's doing a lot of damage to you, and if you get close to him, he's going to flash you and probably kill you. That's what McCree is all about. Then let's look at Soldier 76. Because 76 was not getting used because of one thing, right? McCree was fixed. Soldier 76 was Soldier 76. He's had some changes. He's had changes to his spread, changes to his, various, kind of minor changes. But what they did to him recently on the PTR, which is now live, is they updated his damage. So he actually went from doing 17 to 20 damage per hit, which is quite a big change. It's only 3 per bullet, but when he's firing his entire clip, that's a lot of damage, right? So this means all of a sudden Soldier becomes viable at pushing people away at long to medium range. It also means at medium range he can engage with a McCree, because Soldier's got his Helix rocket. Never forget about that. That is a very powerful thing. If that hits you, that's going to do a lot of damage. But Soldier can heal himself. So now if a McCree starts to engage a Soldier at range, the Soldier can win, because the Soldier can heal himself and keep chipping away at the McCree. But that was the problem. This chip damage, if you will, that Soldier was putting out before he got buffed wasn't enough damage to really do anything. It wasn't good enough to kill Tracer. It wasn't good enough to kill Genji if they jumped upon you. It wasn't good enough to put damage into the tanks because they would just get healed because the healing was so strong. It wasn't good enough to directly take on any other DPS, really. A lot of people would always say that, oh yeah, Soldier was the counter to Farah. Yeah, he is now, but back then, before his damage buff, he kind of wasn't. Because, yeah, you could engage her, but she's hitting you with rockets that do 120 damage a hit. You know, you take a couple of them, you're dead as Soldier. And, you know, it's hard to dodge that when it's an explosion and all of that stuff. So Soldier was in a position where he was not being used. Like, he was used towards the start of the game, but then he kind of fell off. But now, he's right back in the game. And why is that the case? Well, it's like I said, it's a very minor change. He now does more damage. He's actually got a slightly more spread when he's going full auto. But that kind of really doesn't matter because he does more damage. So this means Soldier is in a lot of games because he is a reliable damage source. Like, I'm playing Soldier and I'm pumping out tons of damage. There's loads of people playing Soldier and they're pumping out loads and loads of damage. I think what this means is that people kind of think like, oh, well, there's no point playing McCree. But if you were playing McCree and just spamming shots into tanks or spamming shots into barriers, you weren't really playing McCree right. That's not what McCree was for. That's what Soldier's for. Soldier is your base of DPS. He fires, he fires, he fires, he fires, he reloads, he fires, he fires, he fires, he reloads, he fires, he fires, he fires, fires Helix rockets in, he gets his ult available, which a lot of people are like, well, his ult's not that good. It's actually really powerful because if there's no barrier, if there's nothing stopping the shot, so if there isn't a Diva defense matrix available, if there isn't a Reinhardt barrier, if there isn't a Winston bubble, if there isn't a Zarya bubble on you, you're just going to get wrecked by Soldier. And the amount of times you can flank around the enemy and just clear the backline out is so powerful with Soldier's ultimate. Doing that with McCree, you can kind of achieve it, right? But you have to stand there. It's high noon. Everybody knows. They turn around and they generally do something to sort you out. It's very hard to get a McCree ultimate off unless the enemy team are under some sort of control effect, like maybe they've been hit by Earth Shatter or something like that. Now, maybe this video has been a little bit detailed so far, but what I'm trying to say is Soldier has not replaced McCree. Soldier has just moved into the role that he was always designed to do. Now, whether you like that or you dislike that, well, we'll have to come back to that topic in a couple of months' time, or, you know, and see how that plays out. Because right now, the way the game is going, you still get McCree. McCree's fine, but he's not in every single game. This was the problem before. McCree was in every single game because you needed that hit scan DPS, and he was the hit scan DPS. Now Soldier is really the hit scan DPS, so you're getting a lot of Soldier. But also you've got other things. Like Reinhardt was very prevalent in the game. Reinhardt's got a bit of an issue now. Now, if you watched my video I put out a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about this, and I said, well, yeah, Reinhardt, I think his days are not numbered, but he's going to have a lot more issues now, and he really does. I play Reinhardt, I have issues. Soldier's on the enemy team, and he's firing shots into you. He's ripping your barrier down. Like, he can rip it down like crazy. If he gets nano boosted, if he's got Mercy's damage buff on him, he's an animal. Without those, he's an animal anyway, and he's just like pumping damage. What this means is you can't just stand in the open. You can't just slowly advance behind Reinhardt's barrier, and I swear to God, the devs had an issue with that, because pretty much every single game was Reinhardt moving forward. You had to have a Reinhardt. You would see some comps that maybe didn't have a Reinhardt and they'd be a bit iffy, a bit touch and go. But for the majority of games, Reinhardt was just in them, and he was just omnipresent. He's there all the time. By buffing Soldier, what that does is gives you an option to just wreck the barrier. Like, it's almost like a mini version of a Bastion, right? But it's mobile and it can just engage other targets as well, whereas Bastion has to set up, and yeah, Bastion could rip down a Reinhardt's barrier faster than anyone in the game, but Soldier's there and he's way more versatile. He can engage that and he can look at other targets, he can reposition, he can heal. He's got a load of options. That's why Soldier's in the game, because Soldier gives you this base of DPS. McCree is now it's sort of shunted out of the position of the base of DPS, the guy you always go to just have reliable damage in your team, because now he's more specialist. Now he is the guy that in case the enemy decide to run a couple of flankers, you bring out a McCree. What generally seems to happen in the games that I've played is we're looking at a triple tank meta, and I know a lot of the pros are not too happy about this. What this means is we've got 3 tanks in the game, but it's not necessarily always a Reinhardt. It could be a Diva, a Winston, a Zarya. Generally not a Zarya. Like, Zarya's kind of falling out of favour a little bit, but she's still obviously really powerful. But it might be a Roadhog. And against a Winston, a Roadhog, and a Diva, for example, you could put any of the tanks into that mix. What is McCree going to do? Like, what is his effectiveness against that when you've got Soldier that can put more damage in? That's the problem. Yeah, McCree, if he gets close range and he fans the hammer and he flashbangs and he rolls and he fans the hammer again, he's going to do more damage, right? McCree against the Reinhardt could flash the Reinhardt over his barrier so his barrier drops and then your team can put damage in. But they're all high-risk strategies. That involves the McCree being in the fight. Soldier can do this, not as well as that. Like, he can't flash and instantly remove the barrier, but he can just hammer away in the back where he's relatively safe and rip that barrier down. And it opens up the team, and then he can aim onto another target and rip that target down. What I've learned from playing Soldier this season, and I've played him like a hell of a lot, according to Overbuff, which is a stats website you can go on and have a look, to see how you compare against other soldiers. I was like top 200 Soldier, and so obviously I'm doing something right. I'm putting the damage in, and what I was literally doing is I'd fire into barriers unless there was another target to fire at. When the barriers were ripped down, I would then focus on other targets, but it wasn't like I was killing them. You get what I'm saying? It's not like I'm ripping, like killing like the enemy, I don't know, let's say the enemy soldier. It's not like I'm killing the enemy soldier down from 100 and I'm just wiping him out. I'm doing like maybe 30 or 40 damage to him, or 30 or 40% damage to him, and then somebody else chips in and kills him. That's what Soldier's like. He spreads the damage all over the place. Yeah, you can focus damage. If you get like close up to somebody like a Roadhog and you just unload into their face and you're drilling them in the head and then you're firing helix rockets into them, you are wrecking them. You're doing massive damage to them and you will rip them down. But that's not really what Soldier's for. It's the range of Soldier and the fact that you can just keep piling this DPS in, which is what McCree can't do. So what we need to do is come away from the thing of McCree replaces, or Soldier replaces McCree. He doesn't. Soldier's just been given a role now. McCree does what McCree's always done. McCree is totally viable. Like McCree's, like I said at the start of this video, he's one of the most balanced heroes. Like him and Reaper, they're super balanced now. I don't think you'll ever see them get changed because, well, why would you? They're usable. They do what they're designed to do. But just because Soldier's come into the game and he does have this high base of damage which he can just slam out wherever he wants to, and he kind of is the go-to hit scan DPS, it's sort of like a Brave New World at the moment. We need to see how this changes. I'm already seeing slight changes to this because everybody is like, oh, Soldier's in every game. And it is true. He practically is in every game. But when you're starting to get D.Va in every game, D.Va is actually a pretty good counter to Soldier in a lot of ways. D.Va can soak up Soldier's fire. And things I've noticed, like a D.Va and a Reinhardt working together, can pretty much negate the Soldier. So if the Soldier's just firing away into the barrier, trying to bring it down, D.Va's defense matrix is there. She's eating some of the shots. The barrier takes some hits. Maybe the barrier goes down to recharge. The defense matrix comes back up. And you're in this situation where Soldier, he's not doing anything. And I've had this happen a few times. And I've just had to swap off Soldier because I'm like, well, I'm no effect. I'm just not doing anything here. I need to change to somebody else. Then maybe I would change to like a D.Va or something like that. But he is not just this guy that kills everybody, at least not in the games that I've played. But like I said, all of this is going to take time to work out. We need to see more games get played and see how like the heroes start to, and the meta kind of starts to shift around. But please don't believe what people will tell you, ladies and gentlemen. McCree has not been replaced. McCree is McCree. Soldier now fulfills his role, which is great. And yeah, let me know, guys. Maybe you're a McCree main, maybe you're a Soldier main. I probably would say I am a Soldier main right now. So I think I am kind of qualified to speak in detail on this like I just have. But I want you guys to let me know what you think about this in the comments below. As ever, I always read the comments, and it is interesting to see what you guys have been doing and what you guys have been seeing in your game. Like, I've seen people send me messages on Twitter, and I'll be like, oh, Soldier's killing me all the time, I'm playing Pharaoh, and it's so bad. And I'm thinking, all right, well, let me just end this video with this. I've come against a lot of Pharaohs, and I play with a very good Pharaoh, but I've come against a lot of Pharaohs, and I've tried to kill them, right? When they're close to you, you can annihilate them. Like, if they're medium range to you, you can wreck them. But if they're at long range, you can't really do anything to them. You just poke them, and it's very minimal damage, and they can still fire rockets into you. So that's more to do with where the Pharaoh is. If she's too close to you, then you punish her. You could argue that, yeah, it's easier for Soldier to punish the Pharaoh because Soldier just has to wait for her to get close to him, then he can just kill her, which is okay. But the Pharaoh can fire rockets in at range, which have no damage drop-off. These things explode, and as I said, they do 120 damage to you when they hit you, so it's not like this is nothing. So it's very interesting right now, and it is, I think Overwatch is in such a great position. It's awesome right now. Anyway, let me know, guys, what you think about this in the comments below. I've been Stylosa, this is Unit Lost. You can follow me on Twitter, which is @UnitLostGaming, and I will catch you on the next one, guys. Toodaloo.